what you do instantly and others do eventually is the key to success. Edge is not a thing, it's an action. And so when you have your power list, try to set a goal. I'm going to knock this out by noon. Do things more instantly. If somebody asks you to do something, do it now. Don't put it on a list and do it tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be when you're watching this or listening to this, or maybe you're even doing both. If this is your first time here, welcome. You just found the best down podcast you have never seen or heard before in your life. We are Old Guys Still Rock. I believe we're in episode number 157 today. 156, 157. I don't know. I forgot to look that up today, but we are still plugging along. Yes, every single week we come out here. We give you a great podcast. Your job is to not only listen to it, but it's to share it and let us know how this podcast maybe got you out of a loop or started changing your life or started changing a friend's life. So welcome. I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I'm a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate located here in the beautiful, beautiful Coachella Valley. As you kind of see me, right behind me is just a Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. But if you don't know where Coachella Valley is, kind of think of Palm Springs, Palm Desert, La Quinta, Indio, California, Rancho Mirage. Gosh darn. And if you don't know where those are, just get a map, go from Palm Springs and then go east all the way to Coachella, and that's the Coachella Valley. But the other guy in this show is a good friend of mine, and the other host of the show is Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He's been a good, actually, I would probably say my best friend for almost 30 years. Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He's located in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. We'll get to that a little bit. It may not be beautiful today. We never know in the Willamette Valley. But Brent wears many different hats, from detail shops to body shops, financiers to Wright Wellness Center located in Eugene, Oregon. He is a part of a venture capitalist group that has a company called BustedTees.com. So if you like novelty t-shirts, check out BustedTees.com. Payroll companies, multiple property owner. The list kind of goes on and on. But one thing, and that's kind of how we got to 157 episodes, is great business coach and personal coach. You're like, yeah, dude, I never heard of this cat. Well, guess what? We got all these episodes, 156 other episodes that you can go back and look at, see if he's a fit for you. You kind of feel like you're stuck in a loop, either personally or business-wise. Go back and watch him and then reach out to him. At least have an interview and see if it's going to be a fit. But I promise you, sometimes we try to stay in our silo. And as you've heard multiple times, and if you've watched these episodes, every week, you understand that we're helping people get out of loops and better themselves and then better the people that are around them. So that was a little bit of a long introduction. Anyway, how are you doing, my dude? What's going on with you and your world today?
Doing good. Just had 2 coaching sessions back to back. Speaking of coaching, had one yesterday with a prior guest, Gerard. And
oh man, yeah.
We moved the needle pretty hard yesterday. He said, "This is why I do coaching with you, is because I may not get a golden nugget every single time. It may not be impactful every single time, but I keep sticking it out because every once in a while, like today, this was yesterday, I get the golden nugget that's like going to change my world." And that was very rewarding. Today, I also coach his brother, John Paul from Tecton Construction. John Paul is gone from 0 18 months ago and is on target to do a little over $500,000 this year.
That's amazing.
And he's in construction and he does decks, fences, and outdoor structures.
Out in Eugene, right?
In Eugene, yep, Lane County area. And then I also had a call with Deck Family Farms. So I've been coaching them for coming up on 4 years. And
that's a great segue, because today we're going to talk about momentum. And you just said something like that. Some days we're in such of this want right now society, right? We talk about this all the time. And there's days like, I really didn't get anything of it. And then, as Gerard says, a couple days later, or a day later, or maybe a week later, a month later, that nugget all of a sudden comes out to fruition.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, even though that you want to quit, and we're going to get really in depth about momentum today. You and I talked about this. I'm kind of in the moment. Once you get that plane off the ground, a lot of us were like, I'm just not getting any more fruit out of this. I'm just going to shut it down. So we'll get that in a little bit. But that was such a big point just right at the beginning of the show. There are times, and we'll use Gerard. Gerard's wanted to quit, right? He's just like, I'm just not getting anything out of this anymore, bro. And thank you, but I just feel like I'm plateauing. And that's where most of us fail. And that's why I really want to get into this today, because I was in it today. We had a birthday dinner last night out in Palm Springs with some really good friends of ours. Actually, we had Jackson on last week, so it was his mom and dad, super good friends of ours. And dude, first of all, I didn't want to go. I'm freaking tired. And then we had a great dinner last night and came back in, and I woke up this morning and I'm like, I'm not going to work out. I'm like, damn it, dude. That what we call the infamous bitch voice was kicking in. I'm like, dude, you've just been telling everybody about momentum for the last couple of weeks. What are you doing to yourself? So trudged up. I pushed some stuff off I normally do off in the morning. I will get back to that late. I'll get back to those later in the day because it's part of my 5 critical task list. So I will definitely get that knocked off. But if I didn't get to the gym, first and foremost, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to perform at the momentum that I want to perform at. So when you're talking to people and they get to that rut, I know we're kind of we're jumping right into this. I want to kind of get into the fire about this today. So with your clients, how hard, when they're in that plateau, or maybe they're in a little bit of the valley of their momentum, right? They feel like they're degressing instead of progressing. How are you getting them out of it? How are you keeping their mindset in like, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up? I know that we're in this rut right now, but you still have momentum even if you don't feel it.
So John Paul is in a little bit of a rut mentally and emotionally right now. So every week they have to send me a form that says, it has a list of questions. Where are you at? What's going on? How do we help? What's gone well? What's not gone well? And that's some driver for discussion. And one of the questions is, how are you feeling overall? And he said, I feel like crap. He actually said a different word, but I'm summarizing. And I told him, I said, this seems to be a theme right now. So let's evaluate where you were and where you've come and where you're going. We have big goals. And again, my coaching style is holistic as well as accountability. So if you don't want to do the work, I'm not your coach. If you don't want to be held accountable to doing the work, I'm not your coach. And so he's in agreement with that. But 18 months ago, he was at 0. He had 0 customers. He had a truck and some tools. And evaluating where he's at today, he's got 2 employees, a part-time 1099 contractor that helps him. He just bought his second van. He's getting all of his branding done. He's got money in the bank. He paid off all of his personal credit cards. He's taken distributions. He's taking a paycheck. His family is able to live the way they want to live. I'm like, how do you feel like crap? But like, let's really look back of where you started and where you're at. And then also looking at your lofty goals, is this where you want to be?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I am in the best place I've ever been. I'm like, then how do you feel like crap? He says, I'm just out of energy. I'm out of air. The air has been let out of my balloon. Okay, well, let's look and evaluate what things are taking the air out of your balloon. And let's try to build systems and processes to put air back into your balloon. And so we've moved some of his marketing off to one of his employees doing it contract work. We've moved some of his marketing and website things to another vendor. A lot, as a small business owner, everything hinges on you.
Yeah.
Right. And so the goal is to figure out how to offload some of those menial or low level tasks or even some of the highly more skilled technical things that you might not be the best at. Yes, you can do them, but you might not be the best at, and it might be more efficient to pay somebody $250 to get it done. If you're billing $150 to $200 an hour and it takes you 5 hours to do it, but you can get it done in 1 hour by paying somebody $250, you just made yourself $250.
Yeah. So hard. Everybody wants, we've heard of this from our business coaches and stuff that we follow. And it's so hard when you're an entrepreneur, right? You just said this, everything hinges on you. You're the dude. You're the guy that where it needs to go. And to delegate that sometimes is very hard to release it, especially if it's your baby. As I said, everybody would like to own their own business. The problem is do you have the will and the fortitude to go through this stuff, even though you're progressing, which John Paul was just saying right there, is like, I'm just out of gas. You don't have time. And that's the hard part, is to grinding through it. And then like, okay, you know what? I am out of gas, but I do have these great guys that are super smart. I brought them on, is I need to, and which would actually in my mind, and you can agree or disagree when I say this, but when you bring somebody on, you saw something in them that you don't have, right? Typically, that's why you bring someone like that. I really like that dude. I really like that person or girl. They have something that I don't want. And that's typically what you're attracted to, and how you're like, okay, I'm not good at this. They're good at this. I'm going to give them a little piece of this. And now that gives them ownership. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I ask every coaching client before we even get too far down the road into coaching is, do you want to be everything to everyone? Because if you don't, this may not be the road for you.
Yeah.
And then later on, now that you're everything to everyone, how do we get you not everything to everyone? What systems can we put in place? What processes can we put in place? What vendors can we put in place to take some of this away from you? I always use this thing, and you've heard me say it 1,000 times. It's good to be king. Here's
Sometimes.
the problem with being king, though, is everybody's after your head, because everybody wants to be king too. Everybody wants to dethrone you. So if you wake up every day knowing that you're ready, willing, and able to fight the good fight, and this kind of goes back into our subject matter. How do you keep momentum and edge in personal and business?
Yeah.
Edge isn't a thing. It's not this mythical creature like a unicorn. Edge is action. It has to be action. And it doesn't matter if it's your action or the action of your vendors or your employees or your customers. Edge is action.
When you are stay that, mark that spot on your notes right there. But you say, it's good to be king, and everybody wants to be king right there. And then when the people are coming after you, kind of in a little bit of that situation myself right now, they will try to throw up roadblocks. Now, again, you said a couple of things. You want to be everything to everybody. You want everyone to like you. That's just human nature. You can't appease everyone. But when you are in that king role, you're running a kingdom, be it your business or your personal relationship, and you know the direction you want to go to, but someone tries to deter you or come for your head or saying you're not doing it the right way, I think that can be also a momentum killer. Be like, oh my gosh, they don't like what I'm doing. And maybe it's more important for them to like me than to continue on the path that God has given me. Do you see that before? I mean, you've been in business for a while, super successful, as we just mentioned at the beginning of this episode today, and all the other episodes. But do you see that like, oh my gosh, I'm ruffling too many feathers. Maybe I should back off a little bit. And then your other part of your voice are like, no, dang it. They don't know where I'm going. They're just seeing where I am at right now. I can't stop. And if I hurt some feelings a little bit, I'm okay with that.
6 years ago, I was being sued by 5 different people to the tune of somewhere near $100 million, all the lawsuits combined. And I called my attorney, and I was having a little woe is me moment. So I called my attorney to talk about all these things. So we're going through the list, and we get down to the end of the list, and I said, Josh, sadly, I'm on speed dial with my attorney, and I know everything about his life, and he knows everything about my life. So he said, well, apparently you've arrived. He said, unless people are suing you, you are not making enough waves.
That's powerful, dude.
And I was like, holy crap. Because when you're being sued, it doesn't feel like you're making it.
Right.
It doesn't feel like you're doing the right things because people are suing you because there's something wrong, right?
Right.
And so I had to take a different approach to that. Now, bear in mind, I won all those lawsuits or negotiations. So what I'm saying is don't be an a-hole.
Yeah.
Don't just go throwing things out there trying to get sued.
Right.
To prove that you've made it. That's not the goal. The goal is that when you have an impasse with somebody and it can't be solved with simple human communication, core values discussions, things like that, then sometimes you have to get an attorney involved and they will help you become a cooler head because cooler heads always prevail. We know that. They will help cool the situation down, make it sustainable and attainable to win and to grow. And yes, it took me 14 months, 15 months to get out of that, but that was a pretty heavy season. You know, back to our topic, how do you get up every day knowing that 5 people are unhappy with you and not only are unhappy with you, but have engaged the court system to try to prove out why they're unhappy with you?
Yeah. I mean, we always have some sort of faith aspect into our podcast, which I absolutely love. And a lot of our followers and subscribers love that too, is that because we proclaim our faith, but I think that's really where you turn to a higher power. Brett and I turned to God and like, okay, brother, you have me here for a reason and I'm going to keep trudging forward. And I'm trusting this process. I don't like it. I'm getting crushed. It could be a massive momentum killer. Like maybe I'm just going in the wrong direction. I'm just going to quit or I'm going to go a different direction and
get out the matches and the gasoline,
light it on fire. And then, what we want to, when we go see Jesus, is to have him say, you've done well, my good and faithful servant. And that is so hard when people are attacking you and saying you're an a-hole or, you don't know what you're doing and mother trucking you up and side down, whatever it may be, personal relationships or even business relationships. And you're like, you have to really go back and just stop. We talked about this with Gigi Matako, over a year ago, sometimes you just got to marinate in it. And they're like, okay, Jesus, you got the wheel. I know you want me here for a reason. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to trust that you're going to alleviate these situations and remove these potholes in front of me. But again, so many of us, because we want instantaneous gratification so much, is that could be a massive momentum killer. And realistically, what you and I know, a lot of you guys that follow us, because we have super smart followers and subscribers on this, is that when we're trudging forward, it's so easy just to, as he said, burn it down and just stop.
I'm going to give you
be like 3 steps. We're literally 2 steps away from hitting that bucket of gold, where we're like, I don't have enough and I'm just going to quit, or I can't stay on this path anymore. Just stay with it. You've built all this momentum up. You've had all this energy you're flying at 40,000 feet. Don't start descending, man. Don't stop descending, but keep going. Go ahead. What you were going to say.
Yeah. So one of the key things that keeps me going is like the scene from The Chosen. Have you watched that?
Love it.
Okay. So there's a scene where Matthew is standing in front of Pontius Pilate and Pontius Pilate says, what do you have to do today? And Matthew says, follow him and everything else will work itself out. And Pontius Pilate goes, I don't understand. He goes, see that man over there? And he points to Jesus and he says, I'm going to follow him and everything else will take care of itself. And if you guys haven't watched that, religious person or not, Christian or not, watch the movie, and there is no way that you can't take some golden nuggets out of that.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. We talk about our faith all the time. And I just had this big discussion. This is going to be a little bit diversion of we're talking about momentum, but it's not, don't misunderstand religion to faith. They're two separate aspects. This is a full-blown relationship. The same thing that you would trust your spouse, the same thing that you're going to trust Brett and I 30 years. There's stuff that we trust each other. We may not like what each other says, but we trust in that. We will follow you. We will go to fire for you. We will take a bullet for you. We will be that
811 friend
call. Hey, I need a shovel. I'll be right there.
Yep.
And so those are the type of things, but you've got to build those relationships. And realistically is, so what I'm really trying to say, if you're kind of stuck in a rut and you're trying to find anything and everything else hasn't worked, what Brent said, I think that's a great aspect because we're so visual as humans, is to go watch The Chosen and take out the religion aspect and really watch how the faith took place and the momentum that created. Regardless of what you think about religion, Jesus, or God, whatever it is, those guys are in history. Those guys created something to where we are today. That is momentum, which we talk about this today. Sometimes your momentum will build this ripple effect that you will never see. And that's what those guys did.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about losing momentum. It's not just blowout, it's a slow leak, right? Mm-hmm. You don't wake up one day and say, I've lost it. I've lost my edge. You just notice one morning that you stopped doing the things that made you great. I've never understood this about people. They build a business, they build a situation, and I've helped people do this before. I mean, we took a guy from 1.8 million to 10 million in 4 years. And then he said, well, I'm going to stop advertising. Well, weren't you advertising to get from 1.8 to 10? Like, why would you stop advertising? And he just said, I'm done. I'm going to sell. So then he sold the business to another bigger business, and they brought it in, and they stopped doing everything that made that business successful. Literally everything. And to date, they have less than 30% of their customer base that they bought. So they just walked away from 70% by stop doing what it is that they bought that business for. Here's a little gold nugget for you, and we can dive into this. What you do instantly and others do eventually is the key to success. Remember, edge is not a thing, it's an action. And so when you have your power list, try to set a goal. I'm going to knock this out by noon. Do things more instantly. If somebody asks you to do something, do it now. Don't put it on a list and do it tomorrow. What was the game changer for you when your wife asked you to take out the garbage and you started taking it out immediately versus taking it out an hour later?
It just sets a tone for everything in your life, right? I mean, it's just, it puts a trigger for me. It puts a trigger in my mind. Like, it's the little things that if you just like, I'll wait till tomorrow. We talked about procrastination a couple episodes ago and how that just really starts waterfalling and really downplaying all the momentum that you have. So with that being said, we're talking easy about the garbage, the door handles, lava. There's just so many different things that we've talked about over so many episodes that we have. These little things that people think, well, that's just not that big a deal. Well, then do it.
Yeah.
But also too is, I want to, what you started out with about talking about edge as an action, right? It's very easy to hit that's what I was going to go to. When you're putting as a goal on your power list, if you don't have the power list, go to andrewfrisella.com, buy the power list book. You can make it on a piece of paper, but this is what Brent just said. It's the edge that's taken in action. Well, why do I need a book? Because it's something that you're not doing today, and that book will stare you in the face. It will stare you in the face. Set it out every day. Make it just but also make your goals to a point that they make you uncomfortable. That's a big thing. People just sometimes will make goals that are easily attainable. Make something crazy. We talk about this all the time, and realistic over the last episodes, $25 million in sold real estate. Have other people done it? Sure. Have I done it? Absolutely not. Does it make me uncomfortable? Every freaking day. But that's a trigger in my mind. How are we going to get here? Okay, great. We're at 13 million right now. I'm 12 million away. Realistically, 3 or 4 houses, I have it. But how am I going to do that? What type of actions am I going to take? What type of all this momentum that I've got to even this year, do I celebrate that we sold a $6.5 million house and everyone's coming at you? God, great job. You should, I bet you're in the money now, man. I bet you could run and take a time out. And you hear me say this all the time, job not done.
Well, and I'll go into this about some key points on how to keep your edge and how to actually keep going here in a minute. But I want to revisit that you have to have somebody in your life that challenges you. So when you called me and said, "Hey, we got this deal done," what was the first thing that I said to you?
I don't know, dude. Everything's been a blurry out there. You're gonna have to remind me. I'm sure you'll say it and it'll trigger my head, but
what's next?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What's next? I didn't say, let's throw a party. Let's waste all your money that you just earned, la-di-da. I said, what's next?
Yeah, it actually made it more intense because, as I said, that could be a massive momentum killer to so many people. I hit the big one. I sold the biggest piece of real estate. I could walk around with my rooster feathers out and just, chest up and high. But dude, other people have done it. So what makes you better than anybody else? Don't get stuck in that win. Don't get stuck in that championship. I actually took the team out that night. We went out to dinner, and I know that I said this before if you guys didn't see the episode, but I took the team out to dinner. We went to a hockey game. We got an Uber Black. We just had a great time. And I said, I want you guys to marinate this because tomorrow, this is gone. This is gone. We get it.
Time.
It's go time. And my expectations are higher now than ever because we did it. The momentum that it took me to get that house sold, and the anomaly did not have that size of property in the place that we sold it for to be the biggest sale ever in there. Yeah, that was a cool win. But is that my legacy? Is that everybody else that believed in me to sign up on my team, my legacy? Hell no, man. They're like, okay, cool, dude. We got this. We got some cool recognition. How do we keep building on this? Be excited about it. You guys can win it. Chrissy says this all the time. It's like, you really need to celebrate it. And I go, I did. I did Friday night for 6 hours, but that's done now. Now I'm looking at, the funny thing, Brent, over the last 2 weeks, I'm looking at like 25 million is too small, bro. 25 million is too small.
And a month ago, it felt unattainable.
Just unattainable. But like you have the good people around you, which we talked about at the beginning of this episode. I have good people around me. How do I start delegating? Because now I'm looking like, can we do 50 this year? Is it, even if we miss it, should I cut me short? Should I cut the team short? Should I cut Brett short? A good friend of mine for 30 years is always motivating me to be better and doing these things. Maybe that, this is honest to God, this is super to God. This is what has been burning in me. I've kind of become a little bit of an a-hole the last couple of weeks because I'm like, I set the goal too small.
Well, what we're talking about is mindset that's underneath all of this, right?
Yeah.
So it's identity versus activity. And so let's go one layer deeper. Some of this is about the danger of defining yourself by your past peak, right? So you talked about this about, we won. We sold the biggest piece of property. Don't define yourself by your past peak, because that's just one little peak on the big mountain, right? And then how your self-talk shapes your energy more than any other tactic. So similarly placed, I'm not your self-talk, but I'm kind of like that little guy on your shoulder sometimes, right? You've talked about that before. I'm like, what's next, Blair? And then, the retirement trap, even partial retirement from your activity is a massive identity shift in how you cool yourself off. And I say retirement, not meaning you're retiring from the industry or anything like that. I'm saying retirement from the same activity that got you here. We talked about it earlier, about doing what you're doing or doing what you did to get where you got, right? The other part of it is reframing your age as a leverage. What you know now is way different than what you're 30 years ago self couldn't buy.
Let's stay on that path because you said something that's been sticking. Obviously, in the world that I live in, that I'm live in and surrounded by, I have a lot of guys who are successful, did really well,
and older,
some my age, some just a couple years, and retired. And I watch these guys and all that momentum that took them to get there, and then you see them like a year later after retirement, and the life. If you really, really look at people, and so you guys that are watching this or listening to this, look at those guys that maybe you look up to that retired, and you're like, God darn, I can't wait till I get to that spot. Look at them at a year later. Look at them 6 months later.
They look 10 years older.
10 years older. They're not happy. Their purpose is gone. And maybe not be true for everybody. And
their drive, their desire, their activity level is lower.
What are they really doing, right? I mean, do you see them? Like for my world, again, this is nothing. There's other guys that have taken it, and I'll use a different example here in a little bit. But I'm playing golf every day, and after golf, I'm going to go and have drinks and I'm going to have dinner. But that is all of a sudden like, you worked so hard to get here. What can you take that, even though you retired from this profession, how are you going to take that momentum and put it towards something else to continue to leave a bigger legacy, to be a little bit more greater, whatever it may be, right? And so I go to dinner the other night with one of my clients who's now become which I love about my business. I would say probably 95% of my clients have become such a meaningful part of my life because they've helped me, right? They've continued to help me grow my momentum.
And you've helped them.
Yeah. And so it comes about this symbiotic relationship that's pretty freaking cool. And sometimes I lose focus in that and whatever. But the point of it is we're sitting at dinner. This guy's he's built a great business. He has another guy that's coming up that's also a client and become a good friend of mine. He's brought this guy up, and this guy is basically going to take everything that he built and he's going to take it to the next level and grow bigger. And he goes, but Blair, I'm scared to death. And I go, why? Because he goes, I'm not done yet. I'm done here, but I'm not done here. And he goes, I need to find something to do because there's too much left in me and I don't want to lose what I created. And that's powerful from, a 60 plus year old, almost 70-year-old man. Like he understands the gift that he was given, and it's rare to hear that. It's super rare to hear that. He easily can go off and do whatever he wants that he wants to. He's just like, but that's not me. I've worked too hard to get here, and I want it to keep going. I want to start doing other things to help other people grow. And that's what we're really talking about to you guys, or maybe at retirement or age, or you guys are maybe 10 or 15 years. We saw what our following is, and we're kind of in that sweet spot between like 30 and 45 years old. So you guys that are watching this, build to that spot that maybe you get to retire or sell your company and you make a lot of money, but don't let that to be the cliff of your momentum and just fall off. You and I talk about that. You don't need to be doing what you're doing. You could shut it down tomorrow and have a really good life, bro. Really good life. Stay on the farm.
I've thought about it.
Cows, watch the kids go hang out. My brother's kind of doing it right now. I'm like, okay, when this is all said and done, I know you're living this great little life right now. What's next? And actually watching my brother, he's having a great time. And he's worked his butt off to get to that spot, and he's really enjoying life right now. Like, what are you going to get back into next? And that's kind of my momentum. Like, I see what you're doing. I'm a little bit of FOMO, jealous that you're doing it, but I don't want to lose the momentum I'm right now. And how do you get back into that momentum when Kelly gets back to like, okay, I have to do something. How do you get that plane back off the ground again when you've been,
Well, it takes longer to get the plane back off the ground, right? So it's easier to keep momentum. I have a quick story. So I have two friends that both are turning 80 this year, within about a month, about the same time. One of them is on coast. He works a day or two a week at his old job just to stay active, and he does some light volunteering. And for the most part, he's just sitting in front of the TV waiting to die. I have another friend who's turning 80 in the next month or so, and he is actively still working in his business. He's actively showing up every day. Of course, his role has changed a little bit. He has some people in place and some things, but he's actively investing. He's actively pursuing higher goals every day. And the difference between those two people isn't just their action. One of them looks like he's 60, the guy who's active, and the guy who's not active looks like he's 100 years old and acts like he's 100 years old. The guy that's turning 80, that's very active, still works out, still goes through his motions every day, still has his schedule, still does all of his things. He's on fire.
Yeah.
That's the 80-year-old I want to be.
Yeah. 80, 90, 100, whatever,
Yeah.
right? I think that's so big. And I have those guys around me too. It's actually inspiration, right? The guys that are retired, see them in the gym every morning. Sometimes it hurts a little bit more to get in there, but they're there every day.
Yeah.
Keep it mobile, keep it not sitting around doing stuff.
Well, think about this. 40% of your life will be lived without you even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you bring that down to 20% or 10 or 5 or 0 and think about every single action that you create and the ramifications that it has in a positive and a negative way? The difference is just tremendous. I mean, here's the bottom line. Momentum isn't something that happens to you. We talked about it earlier. It's action. It's something that you build every single day on purpose. The guys who coast aren't lazier. They've just stopped deciding to go. For me, and I think for you, I think we're still deciding to go every day.
Yeah, have to. We have people looking up to us, right? We have people following us to it. And regardless if you own a business or don't own a business or, whatever, be a leader, use the momentum that you create. And just because you don't think that people are looking at you or looking up to you, you have to keep that momentum. I think that's what, as I said, I wanted to stay in bed today. I didn't want to go work out. It was leg day today. I hate leg day. Hate leg day because it is one of the hardest workouts for me. Maybe people love leg day. I don't know anybody that really does, but it's not the workout. It is you not doing this is going to set the tone for the rest of the day. And you've been going hard for weeks, months to this point. Did I take some once in a while? I say, okay, I want to take a breather for a little bit. Yeah, but even on those days, I'm going out for a walk or I'm doing something. I'm getting a lot of stuff done because that's still the momentum getting, moving forward. It's not, I'll get to the workout next week. I'll get to the workout tomorrow. I'll get to reading books later. I've hit all of those valleys, if you may, stemmed away from reading every night. It stopped, kind of went away from that for a little bit of reading 10 pages a night. And what's a big deal about reading 10 pages? Well, it makes me smarter. It helps me articulate a lot more. It helps me retain information better. There's so many different things. And then once you start building, and then when you start getting back into that, I'm just using this as an example, but when you start getting back into reading, you read 2 pages, you start falling asleep. Okay. Then you get up to 5 pages, like, okay, now I'm like, we're 2 weeks back to reading again all the time. And I'm like, man, I could just eat this whole book up right now. Right. And you read and it just helps so many different things. Same with workouts, same with, looking at inventory on real estate every single day. Does it change much from day to day? Sometimes not. Sometimes you see the same houses for a week straight, but it's the momentum that you created to help you get to this point. And I know that we're using different examples, whatever profession it is, whatever you're doing right now, or going back to the 5 critical tasks. If you've mastered those 5 critical tasks, put a new one on, take one off and put a new one on. And that's just more momentum moving forward. Just so many things. But again, I think my biggest thing that I'm seeing, and that's why I want to talk about this today, is it's so easy when you win that championship not to, like, I've attained more than a lot of other people in my industry. And I can just go ahead and take a time out for a couple months and I'm going to be okay financially. What does that set the tone for David? What does it set the tone for Jackson? What does it set the tone for Giovanna on my team?
People are watching, whether you think so or not. People are watching every single move that you make and wanting to know if they should align with you or stay aligned with you based upon what they see.
And then
you have to be relevant every single day. Every moment of the day, relevance is key.
What do you say that, this is a big thing too, but what do you say to people like, I'm just so tired? It's just so hard.
We're all tired. Quit being a sissy. It is hard. Anything that's worth of value is hard. Do you want to have valuable things? All things are valuable to certain people. Some it's time, some it's money, some it's stuff, some it's a jet. Pretty interesting little story. So I'm on one of my Facebook groups and I'm looking at this jet because I still have that vision of getting a jet. And I'm looking at this jet and I back out and go to the main page. And I see like 4 or 5 of my friends are members of that same group. Now, 4 out of the 5 can afford to buy a jet right now, but for some reason aren't. The one person that can't afford to buy a jet is going hard. The other 4 are on coast. And I know this because I talk to them regularly. They're on coast. They're going into their office 2 days a week. They're taking 6-week vacations. They're doing all those things. But they're on a Facebook group to buy a jet, or at least look at them. And they can, and they have the money to do so. But they're flying coach instead of buying the jet. Do you want to be the guy that flies coach, or do you want to be the guy that buys the jet?
The guy that buys a jet. No, it's dude. I want to stay away right there, because this is a conversation that Chrissy and I are having right now. Listen, it's been a rough year. Just with retail, everybody knows who's retail. It's hard, especially being an entrepreneur in retail. It's just rough. So
try being an e-com right now.
Yeah, right. There's just and everyone has that. Everyone's having tough. This is, by the way, guys, when you're watching this, I know we're kind of, maybe this is being painted as a little rosy and butterflies. This is not. It's like we're grinding every day. That's why we're out here, because we're with you. We're understanding what you're going through. And that's why I always encourage you guys to reach out to this, because we're in the mud with you. I know we're making it sound like this is a super easy thing. It is hard as F to do what we're doing. But the point I'm trying to get into, and this is kind of one of my drives every single year, and this happened, and this really started with Chrissy. We had a very scary moment health-wise about 4 years ago, and we were going to Hawaii. We'd fly coach, a couple years in a row, and then the time that she had the health scare, she goes, "We're going first class. This is this," and I go, "Wow, okay, that's going to be a little expensive because we're flying to Hawaii. It's just not expensive. It doesn't matter." And she goes, "Yep, we're gonna treat this. We're gonna fly first class because this is my almost died trip." And that was monumental. It was monumental for her to do that. But that also started a fire for me. Is like, why have I not flown first class every single time that I do fly? You do this a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you teach your kids how to do this. Why you took in your family on there, you showed them what it was, and all these different things we talked about this past episodes. So this year we're going to Hawaii again, rough financially here and there. And I'm looking at first class tickets. She goes, "Just to do extra comfort." I'm like, "No, damn it. We have busted our butts, and this is not going to make us greater. But the point is, if we go ahead and regress to say, okay, this year we're just going to fly coach, or we're going to fly extra comfort, where does that momentum go to? It's not about sitting in the first class seat and paying extra money and thinking I'm hoity-toity about that. It's what you talked about earlier. I will lose the edge in my mind if I regress going back to a coach seat.
Well, what are you telling yourself? That all these things that you do and all the work that you do, it's okay to just take second place?
I'll save I'll save $1,000. It's okay. I spent $250 on a dinner last night, 2 hours. And again, I'm not talking about money. I separate the money from this.
It's mindset.
It's mindset, right?
That's the key here, guys, is it's mindset.
But it's what you talked to me about this a while back, and we were kind of going through this, but that's it. I'm using this as an example. Is it a treat Yes, but it's also what Brent said, and I know that we're repeating ourselves, and I really want this to hit home on this. This first class seed is because if I don't do it and I regress, I can regress in every single thing else after that. I can't do it this year, or I can't do it today, or I can't do it tomorrow, or damn it, I'm going to figure out a way how to get this done. That's one of my goals. And I know it's going to cost me more money than I want to. That's not a part of the money. Is keeping me to fight, get out of the mud. Don't let that bitch voice sit into you and do those things. So is this a little bit passionate?
Well, it's standards. It's standards over feelings. What is your minimum standard?
That's it. What is your standard? Do you believe your standard's here, or is my standard here? Because Brett and I will tell you, if we meet you and we talk to you for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, we'll find your standard. But do you believe, and I think it is, we'll find it, but do you believe in that standard? Do you believe that you deserve it? And if you don't believe it, we need to uncover that.
Well, and are you surrounding yourself with people that have higher standards than you?
So,
because if you're not, you're setting your temperature. We talked about that many, many times.
But it's just, I mean, there's just so many things that I will go back to, with our conversations that have got me here today. And there's some things that you struggle with that you've got to where you're at today. And you can say that for a lot of people that follow us and subscribe to us and reach out to us and do that stuff. But gosh darn, man, fly first class. It's not about the status. It's about perseverance, which is my word of the year. It's about persevering through the hard part, because you should sit first class. You do deserve it. Take out the money. Look at all the other things that you spend the money on, but let that, while you're sitting in there at 40,000 feet and you're going like, this is awesome. I never want to lose this feeling. But to not lose this feeling, I have to work a little bit harder next year, and I have to work a little bit harder next. And I'm going to enjoy Hawaii. Trust me on that. I'm going to enjoy the drive to the airport, getting in first class and sitting there. But I'm like, this was awesome. I don't want to lose this feeling, but for me not to lose this feeling, I need to have to work a little bit harder. There's more expectations. There's different hurdles that are going to come in front of me. I'm never, ever going to lose that feeling.
People will spend $3,600 a year on coffee.
Yeah.
But won't spend $360 to upgrade their life. What's
Amazing,
your minimum, right? What's your minimum standard? Guys, we need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
If you're listening, thank you. If you're an old guy that still rocks, keep going. Reach out to us. Schedule to get on. Tell us your story. We want to hear from you. We want to hear how you got here. We want to hear what you're doing to stay here. And just keep making a damn difference.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, guys, that's it, man. I hope this hit home today. If it hit home to you, share the freaking show, dude. Costs you absolutely nothing to press the share button. And that's how we get paid. You share this show, you help somebody else get better. They help somebody else. That's how we get paid. Brett and I will continue to fund this. Never going to ask you for your money, but share the freaking show. But until we see each other next week, guys, stay safe. But most of all, God bless.